Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Gab Naturalist, and today we are going to be reviewing a TikTok account known as Texas Beeworks. So Texas Beeworks is a TikTok account run by the lady known as Erica Thompson. So Erica, she has almost 11 million followers on TikTok alone. She often shows videos of her going to people's houses or farms and saving these honeybee hives that are basically they're feral. They've like those bees hives are like in underneath people's floorboards or like in their barn. And she goes out there and removes the bees and takes them back and puts them in a hive. That alone is great. Removing these bees so they're not being exterminated or anything. But the problem is, she doesn't recognize that honeybees are not native and they're not the only bee species out there. She has stated in videos before that bees, specifically the honeybees that she's saving, are the most important species on Earth. Which, as we know, is false if you've seen any of my other videos. No single species is more important to the other in an ecosystem. All of the species in an ecosystem need each other. So yes, bees, specifically native bees, are very important to the ecosystem and we do need them. We just, in the Americas, we don't need honeybees. While our agricultural system right now relies super heavily on honeybees, but that's quite because we've exterminated so many of the native bee populations through things like pesticides and habitat loss. So I'm not advocating to totally get rid of honeybees. We currently need them in our agricultural system, but they are not needed in the ecosystems that we have in the Americas. Also, I'd like to point out that honeybees actually can't pollinate certain plants that we rely on as food, and that includes things that are in the nightshade family. So plants like tomatoes and potatoes, which are both nightshades, require something called buzz pollination to be able to reproduce. And basically what buzz pollination is that certain bees, like bumblebees, have a certain frequency that their wings buzz at that allows for the pollen to be released from the flower. And no other bees can do this. Only certain bees, like bumblebees, can actually buzz pollinate these plants. So even certain crops, like we love potatoes. I know some people also love tomatoes. I'm not a big fan of tomatoes, but that's okay. But we need native bees to be able to do this. Now, there has been some stuff where people have introduced more a certain species of bumblebees that is native to the eastern part of the United States and brought them to the west, and that has caused some problems to native bumblebees in those areas in the western US. Okay, now back to what this video is actually about, which is Texas Beeworks. I'm going to show a video from Erica's page on TikTok, just so you kind of get an idea of what she does if you've never heard of her. So roll that clip. So just like I said previously in the same video, bees are not the most important species on Earth, especially honeybees. not the most important species. No species is more important than others. So that TikTok pretty much gives you a really basic idea of what she does and makes videos of on TikTok. And honestly, there's nothing really wrong with what she does. It's just how she presents it and kind of gives people reinforces the idea that honeybees need saving and that they're endangered and we need to save the bees. But that's not the only bee species out there. So there's many, many, many endangered bees that we need to be helping, and that's not doing it because it's not that species. If you really, really, really want to help bee populations, especially native bee populations, is one to plant native. If you're planting native plants, that is going to support your native bees so much better than anything else. And usually, the best place to find resources for native plants in your area is to go on your state's website. A lot of times, if they have like a fish and wildlife or like wildlife and parks kind of deal in your state, they most likely will have a list of native plants and native animals on their website. I do know that Montana does this and Washington and Oregon all do this. So I'm going to assume there's probably many other states that do this. But if your state doesn't have this list on their government website, I suggest doing, it's going to take a while, but just doing some research on what plants are native to your area. And the easiest way to do that I have found is just to go on iNaturalist, click search your area for plants, and if you go to species, there's will show like a list of the most commonly seen species in your area, and there'll be a little tag in the corner of each picture of each species that will say invasive or native. Sometimes it won't say either, but your safest bet is anyone that has a little N, green N tag, is native. So thank you everyone for watching. Uh, I I hope you have a great day, and remember, save native bees.